Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Joe and Matty Talk New York Sports. How you doing today?
I'm good, Matty. How you doing? How's things? Not again back-to-back weeks. We're not too happy about our teams, but we'll get into it. There's some
Not great.
optimism, some breaking news right before we recorded this, so we'll get there. Start us off, Matty. Where do you want to go?
Let's start with the Yankees. I mean,
Ugh.
I think they've officially hit rock bottom. Now the fact that people are talking about they could be either be buyers or sellers at the deadline is horrific. I mean, they just got swept in a 2-game set versus the Phillies, and they are 2-3 in their first 5 games of this road trip. They now
They should
find
have had those
themselves.
games, though. Let's be honest.
I'll
That
say I'll say they should have won the first game in Philly and the last game in Minnesota. They had no chance of winning that second game on Sunday. They should be They should be 4-1 on this road trip right now. But
this team just has, this is not a scientific study, but when I talk to my friends and I talk to people who love the Yankees, everyone's not into this team at all. There is no juice.
boring.
Yeah, there's no energy. I thought, when they were down, what was it, 7-2 over the weekend, they come back. LeMahieu 3-run home run at
Yeah.
7-7. Everyone's texting each other. We're all psyched. And then that stupid man on second rule is the worst thing.
Because the Yankees cannot put in the small ball factor. That
No,
is
they cannot. That is not. Everyone else could get that run home, and it's almost like a given. The Yankees cannot get that run home. Chapman looks. I know his numbers aren't bad, but he doesn't look like the guy that you're
his
paying
numbers
for.
aren't bad. His numbers are phenomenal. I mean, he's
I
blown
know,
two
but
saves.
he doesn't look like the guy his numbers say. I am always nervous with Mariano Rivera. I was never nervous. Now, great, Mariano Rivera, first class Hall of Fame, unbelievable, hard to deal with. But I never feel warm and fuzzy with Chapman.
Well, the problem is, I think for some reason of his past couple starts, he's taken velocity off his fastball. So if you look at the last game of the 3-game set against the Twins, he was hitting like 96, 97. That is not good. I'm not going to even say like, oh, maybe he's cheating, but I'm going to say this. He's not unhittable when he's throwing that. He needs to be throwing 102 right down the middle of the plate because they can't hit it.
Well,
They're foul it off.
he's got to have good location, and then that slider's can't be like bouncing a foot before the plate. It's got to actually go over the mound.
And he was throwing 96, and he was also throwing it center cut to the
Yeah,
Twins. Like he was the it. That's easy. That's easy for big leaguers. Like that's easy to throw
yeah,
right down the
which
middle.
which is insane, but it's true. You cannot
Yeah,
throw a straight ball to a professional hitter. They'll catch up 100. They'll catch up at anywhere in there. You at least got to mix in a changeup or something. But
well,
you know,
he wasn't setting dominance. Like he wasn't like you usually think the hitters are going to be afraid to face Chapman because like, oh, here comes 102. I don't know where it's going to be. He's wild. Then he finds the zone. Then his
yeah,
breaking stuff come in. That's when he's nasty. But if he doesn't have that fear factor, like where the hitters are kind of
yeah,
jumpy, he's not
that's a
good.
huge part of it is fear factor. And I read a stat today: the 2005, the 2007, and the 2008 Yankees all started with the same record as this Yankees.
Mhm.
Two of those teams made the playoffs. One of them was impressive, didn't make the playoffs. But what
Oh
that
wait,
means is,
yeah.
wait, God, your memory is good, man. That's why we
Oh,
got Matty on this show because he can remember this crap because I can't remember anything.
I just remember watching a video of the 2009 World Series clip, and they said they failed to make the playoffs in the last season in the old
Yeah,
stadium. But
but for
yeah,
this
no doubt, yeah,
team, the Yankees, I think in their division with the Rays, what are they, about 18, 19 games over 500? To make the wild card, you probably have to win 93 to 95 games, which is crazy.
yeah.
But that means you have to go somewhere between 62 and 35 or 60 and 37 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Do you think that's reasonable? It's been done before by other Yankee teams, but there's something about this team that just doesn't have any mojo. Like Garrett Cole, we're all terrified that the stickum is the reason he was a great pitcher. 7 Severino injury looked horrific. It looked like the muscle tore off the bone. I haven't heard any reports on what that injury is.
Get rid of him.
Another pitcher on the Yankees roster that is scaring anybody. So we're back in the same position where you got one starter, a bunch of guys who could hit home runs, no one who gets clutch hits. You have a team that is struggling defensively, which they thought they would be much better in. It's not good.
You have two. You have two options. One, I think, is either they because I was watching the Talking Yanks podcast, and they said really over the next 25 games till the All-Star break is really where you're going to determine what's going to happen with the season.
Yeah, you're going to determine whether you dump or go for it.
Well, and he was saying basically the Yankees have to put up like a 15-10 in the least to kind of save.
Yeah, I think they got to do better.
Well, but two is you get rid of everyone, you keep Judge, Stanton, and Cole, and you build off that. The question is, can you get rid of these people? Yeah, I mean, you're not getting rid of Green and Britton are guys.
Why would you
easily get rid of?
Yeah, but why get rid of Britton? Britton, you could do it. I don't know what Britton's contract is, but I trust him more than I trust Chapman. To be honest with you, I love a pitcher who throws ground balls.
I trust O'Day and all of them.
Your love for Darren O'Day. This guy's been throwing garbage. He's been knuckle dragger for years.
They can't hit it.
One or two guys can't hit it, and then all of a sudden he gets rocked. You haven't seen the part. They get Voit back maybe in a week. Maybe you get your semblance of the team together, but I don't know. There's a lot of guys who could be traded off this team, and it would be very interesting, like for Cashman to throw in the towel on this team, and I have a hard time believing that's going to happen.
That stinks. What stinks about it is that this team is capable of winning a World Series. They're just not. And I think once again this comes back to losing Didi of all things. I think this is.
They talked a lot about that over the Phillies series.
It's really they lost. You weren't just losing your left-handed batting shortstop at Yankee Stadium. You're losing defense at shortstop. You're losing a leader.
Clutch hitting.
Yeah, he was the guy would strike out, but he was not. He was like one of your best hitters. He could come in clutch.
You always felt good about him in a clutch moment. That's why I felt so good when LeMahieu hit that home run. It's like, okay, he's back. Here's the momentum, and then they can't score a guy from second.
He's there. LeMahieu's back. I never. LeMahieu.
No, but you can't trade Stanton. What do you do about Judge?
I'm fine with that.
But what do you do about Judge? It's time to pay the piper. But are you going to pay him $30 million a year to play 100 games?
Yes.
You're going to pay him.
He's the best hitter on their team.
But he doesn't play a lot of games.
But I think that depends on this year, though. He's
go back every year. I mean, that's where it comes into play. It's like, I love Aaron Judge. But you can't have a whole team of $30 million a year players.
Well, that's where you got to get rid of players who aren't like.
But who are you going to get rid of? That
I want Hicks gone. I want Frazier gone.
No one will take Hicks. Frazier costs you no money.
He sucks. Terrible.
I mean, he still has value in the market, so maybe you could trade him for something. But these big ticket items are the problem. You're locked into Stanton for a while unless he opts out, and he'd be crazy to opt out.
Well, here's the thing about Stanton. That's fine. The guy's hit. He hasn't he just sometimes he's a little he's very clutch, but then he's unclutch. Like he's up and down. I still trust him. They need to get him to teach him how to play the outfield again because
But there is no big contracts that you can move. You can move guys like Gleyber Torres, and you got a lot of young guys you can move and get pieces, but no one that gets you out from under the thumb of a huge contract. There is no huge contract guy on the Yankees lighting it up. All the big money, it's embarrassing. I don't know, but it's painful because it's not going to work out.
And you know for a fact the Yankees won't make the playoffs. Aaron Boone is he's gone. I don't know.
He'll be the scapegoat for sure.
Cashman will. I don't see how Cashman's.
It would be hard to trash Cashman after 1 year, but the pitching, come on. When are we going to hit on a pitcher?
Well, it's someone each parts of the lineup keep filling in for other mistakes. Like you look at, okay, the Yankees finally get. Go back to the first game of the Tiger series when it was right after the Knicks lost Game 3 in Atlanta. They have Garrett Cole on the mound, phenomenal. Gave up like 1 run over like 6 a third or 2/3 innings. The Yankees are up. They score in the 9th, and then Justin Wilson comes in, and your bullpen gives up a 2-run walk-off homer. Your bullpen, you thought you could trust them. They fill in.
I mean, that's a 1-game thing. When it comes to Gerard Cole, I'm more nervous. Like if he was really using the stickum, and if the Yankees are paying $324 million for a guy who all of a sudden is not going to have the bite on his breaking balls, that contract is going to be like getting kicked in the groin every day.
I think he's fine. I saw his last start in Minnesota. He was dominant. The knuckle curve was finding the zone.
Weren't you the one panicking last week? Those are concerns for me.
But I did some research to back up my spin rate
argument. I love it. Let's hear it.
If you look, people would say, and I was one saying this, that his spin rate got so much bigger in Pittsburgh, or got so much bigger after he left Pittsburgh. But David Cohn said in Pittsburgh, whatever their pitching coach's name was at the time, had him pitching a lot of 2-seam fastballs, which are at a much lower spin rate than a 4-seamer. You don't have as much 2-seamer, or you don't have as much spin rate on the 2-seam. But he went to Houston. They had him working much more on his 4-seam fastball. If you look at the usage.
Yeah, well, one of the Astros things that they didn't cheat on was throwing a lot of high fastballs again, bringing that high heater to guys and changing the strike zone.
Chances are he did still use something, but that could warrant.
Oh, it's pretty much fact that. But I'm not blaming him. All these guys were using stuff across the league. I mean,
get caught. Yeah.
If you get the owners together a third of the way into the season and they're making rule changes, they all know something's up. And I have to say, Major League Baseball, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a rumor guy. But I forget who the player was who spoke last week and said, hey, you do know Major League Baseball owns the company that makes the baseballs. That looks really bad. They own Rawlings.
I think it might have been Pete Alonso.
I think, no, he was a part of the conversation. He responded to it, but it was a former player who said that. And I think he said the same thing. Look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when the Major League Baseball owns the baseball, his conspiracy theory was based on, hey, look, last year there's all these free agent pitchers, so let's have the baseball be juiced so we don't have to pay them. He was making the argument that the owners were colluding to not pay free agents by having a year where it's not hitting, and then this year, in a year where there's a lot of free agent hitters, you have pitchers do really well. I think that's a little excessive. I think Major League Baseball certainly looks. They're certainly tinkering with the ball to some advantage. I think it's more of, hey, when there's a lot of home runs, there's a lot more excitement, so let's do that. And then they overdid it last year, and they're trying to index it back, and it probably backfired and looked really bad, and now it looks even worse.
Well, it's ridiculous because I don't blame people for not wanting to watch baseball anymore. I mean, it's ridiculous. You see, even talking about the baseballs with how they're juicing them up, then they're non-juicing them.
Should be the same every year. Yeah, same stuff every year.
It goes to show basically that are we going to now be a league in 5 years where you basically have to cheat in every aspect to even be in the major league and to be in the major leagues?
They got to get that out of the game, and I honestly don't think it's difficult, but it's just greed that's pushing it through.
What they're worried about is that if they make all these mandates or whatever you call it, rules on using foreign substances, and they actually punish hard,
they're going to lose some of their best pitchers.
What are you going to see? I feel like that's going to create a domino effect.
Well,
that hurts pitching for years.
They did this again, though. Remember? Well, you might not remember because you're too young. But during the steroid era, everyone was like, baseball's dying, baseball's dying, baseball's dying because they don't have enough scoring. That's why Major League Baseball kind of knew everyone was taking steroids, but they're like, look, McGuire, Sosa, home runs, ratings are through the roof. People love runs. People love offense. And I think they got to the point where it just got out of control. They dialed it back, and they probably dialed it back too much by messing with the baseball. But look, every year, unless there's a dramatic something that changes it, the ball should be the same. The regulations for the bats should be the same. I know technology changes over time, but like baseball is such a game like anchored in history. It's like, oh, these historic marks of 70 home runs in a season, or all these records. And once you start messing with it, you lose that history where it doesn't matter to the next generation. And I think baseball is really going to screw themselves with that, where people are like, oh, 2019, that was a year where the ball was juiced, so that doesn't really count. Oh, those are the steroid years. Oh, those don't really count. Oh, that's when that was a year the Astros were cheating and no one said anything. Oh, that was a year that there's tackle. Like, it's got to be consistent. Otherwise, people lose all respect for the sport. And you're ready. Baseball is a localized, marginalized sport. It's losing ground to other sports. They got to make sure that they keep the level of interest up. And they need it with the younger generation. I mean, you could say better. How many of your friends go home and watch all the baseball games?
They do. A lot of my generation definitely playing baseball as a young kid is very popular, but watching it is not. No one really keeps up with it.
It's gone the way, and it's dangerous for them. And I hope they realize it. But what I think is reality is all these people are greedy, and they're like, by the time I get there, I won't have to worry about the low attendance. So, anyway,
but
anything else on baseball?
Well, to conclude with the Yankees, I mean, the other podcast I was watching said it was 25 games to determine their season. I really think it's the next 5, because
5 games over the course of a whole season.
But you're playing. Look, you're 4th place in the division. You trail the
but you're not by much. You're 4.5 out of the wild card, right?
Yeah, but think
2 weeks. 2 weeks they could be back in the wild card on fire.
You're trailing the Blue Jays by a game, the Red Sox by 5.5, and the Rays by 8.5. You're 8.5 games back already midway through June. You're starting to build on that hole, and the Rays aren't losing. They're not losing.
Yeah, but Rays go down. The Rays lose a pitcher. Rays lose a hitter.
The division, I think, is out of sight. I think give up on that.
No giving up. We talked about before. They were in this spot in 2005. They won the division.
Yeah, but they're not going to win this division unless they win 100 games.
I think 95 is the number to win the division. Which is, it's great. But I've seen Yankee teams turn around to get hot. Do I have great confidence in them going to the playoffs? I was counting on Severino coming in and being the equivalent of all-star break, like trade acquisition. Yeah. Hey, we got an all-star pitcher, like someone to add to it. And I mean, I haven't heard reports, but it looked bad.
I'll tell you what this team needs. They need Brett Gardner to purposely tell anyone. No, they need. He doesn't need to tell any of his teammates. He needs to tell Aaron Boone, I'm going to purposely get ejected. I'm going to grab the bat and I'm going to start banging on the top of the dugout. Light a fire in this team.
There's something has to happen. I agree with you. A trigger moment.
If you look at like the Yankees had rallying cries in 2017, 2019, and the 2017 one was when they played that game against the Rays after the hurricane shut down Citi Field. And the guy was doing the thumbs
down. Yeah.
That went all the way through to the championship series.
But then didn't you think when they tied at 7-7 that was the game that was going to do it?
No.
I thought here's the rally, 3-run home run in the 9th. I'm like, this is the moment. It was the exact moment you're talking about. And my friend Ken Moran, he at the same time he was like, this either sends them to the next level or tanks them right back. And then they give up the loss because they can't get a runner in for second. That rule sucks, by the way. I'm sorry for my language, but that rule is horrible. I cannot stand the runner starting at second base. I don't mind the 7th inning doubleheader.
I like that one.
I don't love it, but I don't mind it. but I can't stand the runner on second. Why are we giving free runners?
Well, the Yankees basically need a runner on third with no one out to start like the inning if they
Yeah,
want to win a
maybe
game.
start a runner on first. I don't know. The runner on second is just terrible.
Maybe start a runner like halfway to home plate when they start their inning to see if they can get in then.
Yeah, try to steal home. You have to steal home within 8 pitches. So
Well,
ridiculous.
they need like, but then in 2019, every time they got a base hit, it was like, and
Yeah.
it was something to go off of. Like it was
But you need that moment. You need
jump.
the big hit. You need the adrenaline. You need the comeback. You need a fight. You need something to spark them. They don't have any sort of energy. They don't have
Well, let's face it. I'm not worried. Like the pitching's gonna have its ups and downs. The offense has to. That's the main thing.
offense
The
sucks
offense
for the New York Yankees. This offense sucks.
But you look at the money. Not get rid of the pitchers. Talk about the money the offense is being paid. Just they strike out so many times.
They're on pace for one of the worst ever. One of the worst
Judge,
ever.
I love Judge. He's had the best season hitting wise out of any player on this team. But he has a 2-2 count, corners, 1 out. Yanks are down by 3 runs. He strikes out on a changeup that's like almost a foot off the plate.
Oh, you throw him a ball in the dirt 2-2, he's goodbye. He's
look.
touched.
I know that he is at a very much of a disadvantage with the umpires because they, first of all, we need to address that. They are horrible. I mean,
umpires are having one of the worst years ever.
It cannot be that hard. Like, put me in for a full game and I want to see how good I do. I want to see how
just
good
let the computers do it. There's no shot you do okay. Looking over at catcher's shoulder, you're not used to 95 miles. Look, they're better than we are. That's true. I'm surprised that they do that well, but we live in an age of TV and technology that's telling us with cameras, did it go over the plate? Why can't you just say to the umpire, you messed that one up, change that call?
No, that's what I was thinking. You keep the guy. I want to keep a little bit of like tradition in it. So
I want the umpire out there.
Keep the base umpires there. Even put one behind home plate. Every pitch through the Bluetooth, strike, ball, call it.
Yeah, and he could call it. It's so easy to do, and it takes the umpires are going to lose this fight eventually. They got a union fighting for it, but the performance is terrible. But I do agree. I like them. They should be on the field, but why not use the technology? Because it's making them look terrible. Well, anyway,
it's coming to a point where they're starting to blow game. Like teams are starting to lose games because of umpiring.
And you see it like last week, that Yankee strikeout call was brutal. And it's
we don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not saying the Yankees are going to win, but they very well could have.
Yeah, it's just the momentum, even, so much when you get to the playoffs, the momentum of a 2-1 count versus a 1-2, it's astronomical. It's whether you're getting a ball in the dirt or whether you're getting a fastball 100%. Somewhere in the straight. So it's just horrible. But let's move on from baseball. The Yankees have been hurt. I know I'll let you say something about the Mets because they've been hot. Yeah, I know. No, speaking of the Mets, I saw a stat that was it. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. Syndergaard has like 5 RBIs, but has only given up 4 runs on the season.
deGrom.
Oh yeah. See, I knew I had Syndergaard mental block there, but deGrom, is that the most insane stat you've ever heard? He's got more RBIs and he's given up runs 40% way through the season.
Well, now I don't know now is he cheating though? Like that's where
he's not cheating at all. I listened to a long cast. He doesn't use his spin rate as like other pitchers. He's fine. Dude's awesome.
I hate him.
I hate the Mets.
He's awesome. Because they go ahead.
He's awesome.
deGrom, Cole. We'll see what happens.
I would trade deGrom for Cole straight up.
Oh, but Cole has the rah-rah that deGrom doesn't have, and I like that. I want to see a guy who comes off the mound and gives.
I agree. I agree. I don't disagree with that at all.
Shows no
but
emotion.
I think deGrom's a better pitcher.
He is, but I don't like the no emotion.
I'll take the better player every time.
I think I've just got too invested with Cole now. I have a jersey.
No, I like Cole, but I think deGrom's the best pitcher in baseball.
How about we get deGrom and then we have Cole second pitcher in the staff?
Yeah, good luck. I think deGrom could
Good
opt
luck.
out of his contract, but now that they have a billionaire owner, they should be able to compete to
Why does he
pay
want to
for him.
stay with the Mets? It's not like they're going to win a World Series.
Yeah, I mean, tell them they're in first place, and you got a new billion-dollar owner, so
That's
things are
why.
looking good. And
That's why.
if would you want to move somewhere else?
No, I mean he's across the street. It's not that much of a difference, but
No, he wouldn't even have to change his address.
well, that's with the what was it? I saw something. Oh, with Trout. That's why I don't have respect for Mike Trout. Why do you want to stay with the Angels? They are god awful. They
But
lose all their talent.
But I respect that. I'm the opposite of you. I respect someone who wants to play for one team and bring them the win. Kind of like
I
Damian
understand that.
Lillard out in Portland. I want to play my whole career for one team, and I want to deliver for them and their fan base and celebrate it with them. Like you get guys like Durant. Let me go to Golden State and play with superstars and win. Now with the Nets, with two superstars, I'm not taking a shot at him that I maybe contracts offered what they are. You go where you are when it's that much money, but I respect the guy who wants to stay with one team and make it last. It's so hard in this generation to do that.
But the Angels are they're like their management, everything is bad. Like they're just terrible. Like
yeah, but I mean that's out of his control. He's doing everything he can to win.
Come home. You're born in New Jersey. Come home.
He's a Philly fan, so
I don't even care. Makes it more competition. Just leave Anaheim. It's like gross.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not into the LA Angels. Is stupid. But what can you do? I admire the fact that he's staying home and he's paying $1 million and millions upon millions of taxes in California to stay there. It could have been so much more money. Yeah. Could have been say worse.
All right, let's pump this up. We'll start. Let's see. Where do you want to?
We got to talk about the new news, and I'm going to turn this over to you.
Yes.
Right off the presses, New York Rangers signed a new coach, 4-year deal, Gerard Gallant. I know you're excited. I will turn it over to you. I am not the most excited guy. That was not my first choice.
Who was your first choice? Wait, who was your first choice?
I don't know if I truly had someone that I loved. Now I was hoping that someone would come out. No, I love Tortorella, but I didn't think coming back for another tour was the right moment. I thought Bob Hartley would somehow because he coached for Drury that I thought he would be way more in the mix, but it turns out no. There was no sexy candidate this year. There was nobody that I was really like, oh, we got to get him. You guys kind of wanted me to like Brindamore, and I can't I can't like a Flyers guy, even though he's really good. And I don't know. It was all unique to me. I'm not excited about Gallant, but tell me why I should be. Well, come on, give me something. Give me something to be excited about.
He took an expansion team, which is very hard, in their first year, and think about it, they were not loaded with all-stars all the way to the Stanley Cup final. I thought they were better than Washington. I thought they should have beat them. I wanted them to beat them. I was cheering for them in that final, but he took them there, and that's not easy.
Well, why did they dump him?
I don't know. I mean,
that's what makes me nervous. Is you have instant success with an expansion team. Why would they get rid of you?
Because they blew the 2019 playoffs against the Sharks. That was a catastrophic loss.
I mean, I hope that's a huge shot at Vegas ownership because I hope Vegas never makes playoffs again in the history of the NHL. There's no way a Golden Knight from the desert should be winning in hockey. A Canadian or a Northeastern team or a Minnesota team. I'll take. If the expansion team in Seattle is the Kraken.
No,
if at least they're where the weather's cold. This team is. Come on, they're in the goddamn desert.
Well, what's better now? Look at it this way: what's better now than a successful coach who knows how to win? In a win, look, I'm gonna go straight out and say it. I'm gonna be very disappointed if the Rangers don't make the playoffs this year. Let's go. It's time. I agree with Drury. Get the lead out. It's time to make the playoffs. This team knows how to play with each other. They are young, but I don't care. They've been young for years. They just keep adding. It's their fault. They're young. They just keep adding this young talent. Bring in some veterans. Let's go.
All right, you've opened up 2 questions for you.
We could be up. We could be a Stanley Cup final contender if we added good veteran players and if we stopped throwing in young guys into the fire midway through the season.
The opposite was the Rangers.
Ready.
The Rangers of old used to always bring in for years they were trading and getting the old guys. Now they got a stockpile of young guys. They could finally take some of these young guys and turn them into middle-aged guys. I don't want old guys. I want middle-aged.
Do like the 1-year deals where their contract ends and they're free agent. Because
these teams, people take 1-year deals on teams winning the Stanley Cup. They don't take 1-year flyers on middle. That's the problem. You have to get yourself to where you're respected enough where you can win the cup, where someone will take a veteran will be like, you know what, this team has a really good chance at winning. I'll take less to play with them. Rangers haven't proven that yet. The other thing is, do you truly know what get the lead out means?
Yeah, speed it up. Like if you're driving.
Get the lead out is a little Led Zeppelin reference where they used to play on the local New York radio show back when we were young. They'd be like, there was a moment on K-Rock, get the lead out, and they give you your Led Zeppelin song of the day so you could get the lead out, rock it out.
I thought like Leadfoot was like you jam it when you're driving, like you're going.
No, Leadfoot means you're super fast. Yeah, you got a foot that's weighted down and you hit the pedal to the metal, but get the lead outs back from the Led Zeppelin days. Best band of all time.
I was like, well, how could what's the Rangers owner?
Dolan?
Yeah, I was like, well, how could you, what does he mean? We're like in a room. I started to think of it. I was like, well, this is ridiculous. They were definitely going to make the playoffs in 1920 if you play the extra
1920
or the 1920 season.
I was like, wow, you have great history. I'm like, I can't remember last week. You remember 1920?
Well, I mean, in the 2019-2020 season, I'm very much convinced that they would have made the playoffs because they were just unstoppable at the end of March. And I think that she was a setback because
I don't disagree with you.
It was better. The team was better. They should not have been outplayed.
But your boy Zibanejad had such a bad start.
There's other factors like Panarin.
Yeah, and then the Panarin losing all those games. I love Panarin. I think it's the best free agent signing I've seen in New York since Mark Messier, and I don't think he was a signing. I think he was a trade, but I can't remember that. Panarin's great. I think you're going to see a trade where like Hedl, Buchnevich, Strome, all like some big middle names. Yeah, I think you're going to see a big move for a center. I imagine.
I would not be sad if we got Eichel. I would actually be very glad. That guy is so much in the tank. He's just being screwed in Buffalo. That guy could be 40 goals a year. He's one of those players that are just getting drilled into the ground. It's like what the Jets do with their star players.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope, but it's a big gamble. But I think that's the Rangers. I think Drury's move is to take some of this young talent and turn it into a star center, and then they should be there. Like then you got to hope that Lafreniere and Capo all of a sudden take off.
I mean, let me state some of the problems that I saw. Lafreniere coming out being in the second line. No, those young guys have to be three.
He's under 20.
But you're not a good enough team if you have your rookies in your top two lines, unless they are
we're talking top 3 picks overall. Like these guys are supposed to be lottery studs. They're supposed to be the future Sidney Crosbys of the league. These guys, I'm convinced the Rangers went into last year going as much experience as possible.
Oh my God.
The Rangers have so many young defensemen that are supposed to be studs. I can't take
it with these, like Zach Jones. No, not yet. Too early.
But that wasn't their choice. The Zach Jones thing, basically the reason he went to the Rangers is because they were going to told him that they would wash a year of eligibility. that they would risk that. So I'm okay with like the Zach Jones, like you risk that because you probably had a conversation with, and he was like, why? I'll sign with another team because he wants to get, all of these guys want to get to free agency earlier. And
I want to see,
you take a chance on that. You take a chance on that if you're Rangers, because your boy that helped you get the best defense over there, and he could be the Norris Trophy winner.
Foxy Clean.
Yeah, Foxy, him making those moves, you take that gamble. You get these guys in house, and if this year Zach Jones is not internally feeling the way it is, you ship him away and you get your chip back.
I want to tell you right now. First of all, I hope the Canes are crying as they listen to this, so that they somehow let.
I don't think the Canes are listening to a New York podcast by us, but I hope so, because I don't like the Canes, and you're a bogus Canes fan.
No, I just want them to beat Tampa. But it should be Fox, Lindgren. First of all, take the A off Trouba and give it to either Lindgren or
no
Fox.
way. What happened when Trouba was out of the lineup?
But he's not.
What happened when Trouba went out of the lineup?
He's not like what you think, though. He's not.
But every New York paper says that's who he is being. Behind the scenes, he's taking
never been that till he's been to the Rangers, though. He's never been that.
You don't know what he was outside of New York.
In Winnipeg, he was not that big. Dustin Byfuglien was their big beefy guy.
Yeah, but he went.
That's what we need. A guy like that.
They definitely need some bruisers. There's no question that, but I think you're too hard on Trouba. I mean, when you got Keandre Miller and these guys saying he's the one who got them through, and the moment he goes out, they couldn't do crap. They're emotionally were dead.
We should make a trade with Tampa. Give them this, because could you imagine Mac Truck or McDonough, and you take one of their big boys like Jan Ruda and like one of those big hitting guys, and you throw that, and that's another D pair, and you have Trouba, Miller, Fox, Lindgren, and another pair. That's what they need to do. They got to get 2 veteran defensemen, and they got to.
But like when I look at the Islanders right now, and I hate the Islanders.
Big hitting. They're so good.
Yeah, they have guys who could get in the win faceoffs.
They're
get in the corners, get in front of the net and score, and they punish you on defense. That's why, like, maybe Cizikas comes over as a free agent. You get a little grit.
Yeah, you need that, like you need like a Matt Martin guy.
He just signed for a while. His brother-in-law is getting married this weekend.
You look at the Islanders defense. You got Pulock, you got Andy Green, you got Nick Leddy. You have like a bunch.
They're gonna punish you.
Veteran big boys that will.
Yeah, they're gonna punish you. They are not a finesse team. I mean, how great is Lou Lamoriello? Like, I know most people outside of hockey don't pay attention, but if you're in the tri-state area, I mean, we've hated the Devils forever. That guy basically has less salary to deal with, less assets to deal with, less fans, and he always puts together a winner.
How big is Jean-Gabriel Pageau been? Because they picked him up since Ottawa. Yeah, he kills the Rangers, but everywhere you look at, you have Varlamov. I don't know how many shutouts that guy had this year. Then you have Sorokin, who's like as good as Shesterkin.
Yeah,
let's face it. Shesterkin's going to be good. I don't know. I get too wound up when I talk about the Rangers. I know. Fall.
I know. I'm excited for football. It's around the corner. You know my love of Joe Judge. The Joe Judge Fest.
I don't trust him yet. I like him.
I know you don't trust him. But I got the Joe Judge love affair. I'm seeing it going on. I read an article about the guy from Georgia, Aziz Ojulari, Steele. Like, I am jacked up for him to be awesome. I heard Daniel Jones got huge in the offseason. I know you don't like Dan. To me, if this offensive line can play, they're going to be great. For finally once, like on NFL.com, they were like, Giants were a team where they're like, I think it was Mike Garoppolo, and I might be pronouncing that wrong, who was like, I believe in the Giants. They're an underrated team. Look, they had a great defense last year, and they have a better team. I'm super pissed about the Sam Beal news. I don't know if you saw that up by you. No. Sam Beal, who the Giants took a couple of years ago with a 3rd-round supplemental pick, who I thought it's going to be great. Whenever I don't know what it is about me and supplemental draft picks that you will learn, Matty, but for some reason when Dave Brown back in the day, he was a supplemental pick. I feel like you're always stealing someone when you put in a supplemental bid.
Yeah.
And they had gotten Sam Beal. He's up on gun charges.
Ugh.
Apparently, the Giants knew about it for a couple months, which makes the Adoree Jackson signing so much more obvious. Because I was like, why do they just keep? I know cornerback's position you can never have too much, but they're spending a lot of money there. I think the Giants D is going to be killer this year, and if Daniel Jones could just not turn it over, if the Giants defense doesn't do well, I see not Andy Reid. I see Jason Garrett being fired early because there's apparently a lot of rumors that there's tension between him, the former Cleveland Browns coach who Joe Judge coached with back in the day, making decisions. But I'm psyched with football. I can't wait for football.
Every time I hear Daniel Jones' name, cringe.
Yeah, he's the top deep passer in the NFL, Matty. Top deep.
They don't have it. They don't have any deep guys.
Well, now you do. So look at the potential there. You got guys with wheels.
He doesn't know how to win, though. That's the problem. He doesn't know how to win a football game.
But football, don't you think football more than almost anything is team? Like basketball, you could isolate, and if you have two players, you could win the game.
Look at the Nets.
Hockey, huge team sport, but basketball, I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess baseball is a huge team sport. Baseball, if you have a couple pitchers, though, you could have a bad lineup and still get by with a couple pitchers. But hockey, you get by with a goalie. But I don't know. I think the Giants are in line for a shocking season. Otherwise, Daniel Jones was just a total disaster. I'm still being optimistic because I love it. I love a guy who could take a beating, punch him out.
It was the problem that I had was it was the wrong draft to draft a quarterback.
They drafted him too high. If they would have taken him 17th, we would have been like, okay, we'll give him a shot. But when they reach for him a top 10, when you reach for him as a top 10 pick, you put these crazy expectations on a team that stunk. So,
my problem is you look at the draft before, and no one predicted Mahomes, but Josh Allen was very
wrong. A lot of people predicted Mahomes in the New York area.
He wasn't what we thought.
No, I'll give a couple. Ben McAdoo, the Giants' former coach, was dying to draft him, and Ben McAdoo, a notorious disaster. But
I knew he was such a good coach. I knew it.
Him and his lame mustache. He was the one who said that the Giants should have taken him. And then Boomer Esiason, if you listen to the fan in New York, has a love affair for Mahomes you can't even believe. Who knew he was going to be?
It's just you look at.
He also had Josh Allen right.
The Giants could have drafted a year. Like, what's the difference a year earlier? Eli's already going down now. Why did it have to be the Jones and Haskins draft? Because that draft was significantly lower.
That was the peer pressure to try to get Eli another Super Bowl, and the team clearly wasn't ready.
Well, if you look at the next year, what was the quarterbacks the next year? Kyler. Yeah,
you're asking me.
I don't know. But
either way, no, the next they probably would have drafted Darnold.
That might be better.
I'm curious to see how he does in Carolina. I kind of actually want to root for him because I did feel like he got totally screwed with Adam Gase and the Jets, and he always was a stand-up guy when they asked about it. He was never a jerk. He was never gave attitude. He took a lot of abuse. He had no offensive weapons, a terrible offensive game plan. So I kind of root for him, but I hate the Panthers.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're iffy, but the Giants, they just started mini camps. I do want to ask you one question. What are your thoughts on Saquon? I don't like him, but go ahead.
You don't like him? Oh, wait a minute. You love Saquon. I think Saquon is a terrific player. I don't think a running back is ever a first-round draft pick because
so
even well,
he hasn't been good since his rookie year.
Yeah, it's you and you're so prone. Like it's such a short time. He has an injury that takes him out for a year. That's not like
but the year before he was
he does everything he can in his power. The problem is it's a position where you get abused. So it's not a position you risk a first round pick on. Because if he busts out, it's going to cost you a fortune. You could get running back. Look how many running backs from second, third, fourth rounds turn out to be great. It's much better. You get an offensive line, and a mediocre running back could run through a great offensive line. A great running back, if he's getting tackled in the backfield, like I think Saquon Barkley has like some of the great Barry Sanders like runs where he has an amazing run to get back to the line of scrimmage. So I think this is the year for him
breakout,
because he should have a breakout year.
Less attention's on him. He's not forced to be the star.
Well, they also they can't drop both safeties in the box because you have a first round draft pick at wide receiver. You have a top free agent wide receiver. The whole thing this season is if you get the ball down the field, Saquon will actually have room to run. But how good the offensive line is, no idea.
Yeah. And then my last question with football is, where do you see the Jets finishing in the AFC East? Or did I say that right? AFC East.
Yeah, you're right.
Fourth. Fourth.
I mean, I think the Dolphins are loaded with talent, and I really like their coach. The Bills are the favorite. The Patriots spent more money in free agent history than ever. Do I think the Jets are going to be a much better team? I think they'll be a much more interesting team to watch. They're going to be a much more competitive team. But I think their schedule and their situation just doesn't allow them to get out of the situation they're in with a rookie quarterback. So I expect the Jets to finish fourth, but the same way the Giants finished 6-10 last year, and Giants fans walked away going, I feel pretty good about this team. Like they're headed in the right direction. That's where I think the Jets will be. I think the Jets have a good coach. I think they have talent in place. If they finish above fourth, I think it means one of the other teams are disappointing because Miami, 100%. Buffalo, and New England all have a lot to prove. New England, a lot rides on their quarterback, whether, you could have a lot of great talent.
Yeah. I mean, no, you're right. It's going to depend really if New England can put it all together. But so those are the questions I want to ask for football. I got two more topics. I'm going to do my quick run through the NHL playoffs.
Run through it, Matty, because we've run way late today. So keep it going. We're
now in the Stanley Cup semifinals. The first series we got yesterday was the New York Islanders versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Game 1 to the Islanders. Game 1 shows you how.
Boo. Florida versus Long Island. Come on.
You're going to hate me after I say this, but I want the Islanders to win because I hate the Lightning. But I think the Lightning will win. I'd rather see the Islanders win because I know they won't win in the final. But
who do you really think's winning the series? Not who you want. If you had to put all your savings,
Tampa Bay.
All your savings, Tampa Bay.
And the second series is the Montreal Canadiens versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And
Let's go Canadiens.
I want either team to win.
Canadiens.
I want either team to win, but I think the Golden Knights will win.
To me. Look me in the eye. You are a Vegas Knight fan, and it drives me crazy. How do you root for a team that plays in the desert?
I don't know.
Come on, it's a Montreal Canadiens. Original 6. They have snow. They have ice. It's Canada. It's the home of hockey, and you're going to give it up to Vegas, the home of debauchery.
I don't know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I don't care who wins. I think Vegas will. The first game of the series is tonight at 9. Now, after I just went through that whole rundown, what do you think? I want to get your thoughts about both series.
I'm going without any thoughts that I would like to see the Canadiens win it all. Win it all? No. Yeah. I don't want the Islanders going anywhere. I hate Tampa. Is the same way I hate Vegas has a hockey team. Tampa should not have a hockey team. But at least there's a lot of guys in Tampa because half of them are ex-Rangers that I like. And I can't handle. I can't go to work. I can't go to work with the Islanders winning. You know how many messages I'll get of the Gorton's fishermen climbing a mountain or
but they haven't won the Stanley Cup since the 80s, so it's not. They're embarrassing right now. So they're on a bigger.
It doesn't matter. You've been around New York fans. If their team wins, it's like if the Jets win 2 games, all of a sudden they come flying out of the woodworks, cracking up through the soil. Oh, the best team ever. No way.
Well, let me paint you this picture. Who would you want to win if it was Vegas Tampa in the final?
Tampa.
Who would you want if it was Vegas, the Islanders? Oh, that's like a death scenario for you. You gotta say Vegas there. There's
I
no
think I
way
got to go Vegas and just be disappointed in all of
But
hockey.
Vegas has my thing is
Las Vegas should not have a hockey team.
I hate the fan base. I hate the team name.
They don't have a fan base.
They have great players. I'm gonna tell you though, Mark Stone is unbelievable.
That's great. That's all great. It has nothing to do with the players.
They're good though. But
we're rooting for the jerseys at this point, and I hate their jerseys, and I hate their logo, and I hate
like their
team.
red jersey. That's it. They're alternate. They're all
you Ranger fans out there, just make sure you log this in and listen to Matty for this. So when it comes up next year,
I won't be a Kraken fan.
I'd rather root for the Kraken. I love the team logo.
I might buy one of their. I might buy.
I wish they were the Seattle Sockeye was a better name. I would have thought that was cool. I would have definitely got one of those jerseys just for shits and giggles. Oops, sorry.
That's fine. But I would love to see your face if I had a fake Vegas jersey on. The next time I see it, and threw it
this
away.
Podcast would be the Matty only podcast. All right, Matty. We've gone about an hour here. So
should we do a miniature touch on the Nets? We'll give them a little bit.
I'm going to give you my 1 second on the Nets, and then I'll let you wrap it up on your point on the Nets. Goodbye, Nets. All your bandwagon cheating and bringing in every free agent is caught up with you. I don't see Harden coming back, or if he comes back, it's going to be with a hamstring injury. He's going to get hurt again. Irving's injury looked like something that